This video is rated K to A. That's kids to adults, everybody.
Let's go! Now, K through A is something that I haven't heard in a while. Like, people don't... Well, I mean, it got taken over by E.
Yeah, it was originally the E rating. And this was around the time of, like, N64 cartridges. So it was fascinating. Back then, you could have the same game as your neighbor, but he had the E-rated version, you had the KA version. And I was always like, what are the differences? You know, is the E version slightly edgier?
Ooh, E for edgy.
It was just printed later.
Yeah.
So we're here to talk about the ESRB and related similar rating houses.
And ESRB just stands for Entertainment Software Ratings Board. And PEGI stands for, it's the European version, Pan-European, I can't remember what game.
Interesting.
Yes.
Facts.
Yeah. Interesting facts about it. I can't remember what the I stands for, but...
Nice try, though.
Yes. There's PEGI, which is the European version of the ESRB. I'm sure that there are some differences.
So we used to have, like, KA, but now we have ETMAO.
And EC, which, yeah.
Oh, and E10.
Yeah, E10 plus. So, this... I don't know if you clicked on this image. I wanted to show you this image.
Okay.
Games made for children. Everyone can play it. Must be a preteen to play it. Must be a teenager to play it. Must be almost an adult to play it. Must be an adult to play it. Versus what we actually see. Possibly a good game. Possibly a good game.
That's great.
So very true, though. You know, ESRB was created because of games like Mortal Kombat and whatnot, so that we know what games are appropriate for what age group.
And hopefully our parents knew and stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. I actually think that this system that we have is a little bit better than the MPAA, the motion picture thing, where we've got G, which... hardly anything ever gets anymore.
Yeah.
PG, which means it's a family movie. PG-13, which means it's 90% of movies, and R. And PG-13 is so wide.
Yeah.
I'm thankful that we have the distinction between T and M, which I think if they're movies would both fall under PG-13. So this is a little bit more descriptive.
I think
helpful. So PEGI uses 3, 7, 12, 16, 18.
So it uses the ages.
Yeah. And, you know, it's interesting that there's 16 and 18. We have 17. We have M for 17 and AO for 18. Like, what's the big deal there? Video games are like the only thing that you can be 17 to enjoy.
Yeah.
Like, what's the deal? And speaking of AO, there is such a small list of AO games.
There is.
I looked on Wikipedia, and there's a table there, and you can read all the rated AO games. And most of them came out a long time ago, barely being made anymore. And most of them are on PC. And they just don't get made for consoles because not a single retailer will carry them.
Yeah, they won't carry them, they won't carry them because they're nasty, but they also won't carry them because people won't buy them.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, like the chart says, people see that and they say, oh, that's a stupid game made for perverts.
Right. But they can get away with quite a lot on M.
So here's something that I thought would be interesting to talk about is these game ratings, and if you look at the MPAA, they have thematic elements as something as why it might be rated a higher age than the other ones. And that doesn't mean like it's inappropriate stuff, just like that it's going to go over kids' heads and they're not going to understand it, or there are some themes that are more adult in nature as far as like they're talking about government or whatnot. Yeah. And it's not like
it's mature, but it's not mature.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. And now are video games like that? Like do we look at the ESRB and say, I'm not going to like an EC game because it's not
below me.
edgy enough, or
Right.
because it's not intelligent enough.
I think so. I think a lot of gamers kind of poo-poo T games.
Mm-hmm. They do.
There you
They're
go.
like, oh, it's not M rated, so
Yeah.
I don't want it. There's no blood. There's no guts. But
Yeah.
really, we got to look at it as, this is not just to help me decide what's appropriate morally, but like what's appropriate for my mental age.
Gotcha. Your brain age.
Yes, your brain age. And I really do like E10 plus as a rating because, E, it's meant for everyone. And then T, there was that huge distinction, like you couldn't play T games when you were like 11 years old.
Yeah, and then after a little while I could play T games if they were for violence, but not sexual or language.
Right.
Those were out the door.
Right. And so I like how, E10 plus, shows like, kids that are like 10 years old can handle this and not have to worry about all this other crud that like higher end T games. So you don't just block out an entire rating.
Simeon, here's what I want to know. Why don't companies do this where you can buy a T or an M rated version of their games? Maybe it's 2 discs in the same case, or don't go through the trouble of printing 2 discs, but have an option in the pause menu, just like you do for music options, control options, just like, toggle language off if you want to, turn the blood off if you want to. And like, wouldn't games sell better?
I think they would, but oh golly, see, I don't know, because this goes back to Mortal Kombat, which was the original game that sparked all of this.
Yeah.
It had a code that you could put in to turn the blood on.
Yeah.
And it's like, is that good? Is that better? Should game companies just release 2 versions of the game? This one doesn't have blood in it at all. This one has blood in it. Or should they use the toggle? I think they should have toggles for all this, for M-rated versions of the game.
Sure.
I don't want this on it. But
And there are parental controls that should be considered. Like, you can sign up as a parent. I don't know about on Nintendo. Maybe.
in the Wii, in the Wii days at least, I think
the modern consoles allow parents to block games by ESRB settings or ratings. So it'd also be nice if the parents could say, if there's a cleaner version of the game, just keep that toggle locked where I want it to be.
Yeah.
And don't let it be edited later.
Make it happen, people. This should be a thing. And we talked a little bit about this in Nintendo versus Voice Chat. If you are a parent, and I'm not a parent yet, but
it's apparent that you are not a parent.
Yes, it is apparent that I'm not a parent. But if you are a parent, please do monitor the games that your kids play.
Yeah, the back of the box gives you a little bit of information. You can always find more on esrb.org, where you can get a more full description.
Indeed. Watch some gameplay before you buy a game.
I also thought you might be interested to know about how games get their ESRB rating. So the onus is on the publisher to create
The onus?
Yeah.
ONUS?
What's the word? What do you say?
Well, I don't. I've never heard. Well, I've heard the word before, maybe, but that is a very uncommon word. Onus?
Yeah, the onus. Like
They have to own it?
No, it's like the responsibility.
Yeah, they have to own it.
The onus.
Yeah.
The onus is upon.
Yes, okay, I got it now.
The onus is upon the publishers to create a highlight reel of sorts of the most offensive parts of their game. So they create like a home video of how their game is bad, and they send it off to the ESRB, which is a bunch of parents, and then they watch it, and then they're like a committee, and they decide. And they've gotten it wrong a few times, and maybe it's also the publisher's fault for they don't include everything that they should. So I don't know if that's the best system. The ESRB should probably have to play the game or whatever, but that would slow the process even more. I know it takes a while to get your game rated, but
yeah, we know that. Our game. Did we have to do ESRB for accelerated delivery?
I don't think so.
No, I don't think all they would have had to object to is freaking snacky snacks.
Someone asked me on Twitter how to play our box game, and I was like, you can't. We can't even get into it anymore.
We can't even play it anymore.
We're locked out. The key got thrown away. So.
Yep, literally.
Thanks for watching. Thanks for being part of the crew.
Don't forget to check out our website where we've got vlogs and all sorts of cool stuff happening every day of the week.
That's right. See you guys next time.
Signing out.